Hello everyone, my name is Jason, aka Bacon Chest, coach of the St Kilda Superiors. Welcome to week 6 of the ICBA D-League. This is going to be our game against Zamcro and the Blackmount Raikougar. Zamcro, really good content creator, really enjoyed his videos so far this season, so please go check him out. I'll put a link in the description. Really threatening roster, has been doing really well with it. I think he's 4 wins, 1 loss going into this game. But yeah, really threatening roster you can see on the right hand side of your screen. Magina, Dragonite, Zapdos, Suicune, Crocodile, Bronzong, Marowak, Alola, Licky, Donphan, Cryogonal, and Taurus, with Magina, Dragonite, and Crocodile being the 3 Z users. I really did try to prep quite hard for this match, because obviously we're not doing that well. We're 2 wins, 3 losses, and we're going up against a really tough opponent who's been doing really well. So yeah, I did a little bit of scouting, did a little bit of sort of examining how he played, and I noticed that, and you would kind of expect this, that Magina, Dragonite, and Zapdos have come to pretty much every game, so I was really expecting those 3. I was expecting Bronzong, just because it's a really good rocker. Oh yeah, no. So I was expecting those 3. I was expecting Suicune and Crocodile, because Suicune is really good for things like Heatran. It's also just generally like so bulky, and I don't necessarily have good ways of like breaking it down. Especially since like Delmise isn't great. Given it doesn't have recovery, or doesn't have particularly good recovery. I expected the Crocodile because Crocodile, like Dark Spam, is pretty good against my team. Given that Crocodile obviously destroys my Drapion, which is my main kind of Dark Switch in. Primarina obviously doesn't have the physical defense to really take on Earthquake either, so yeah, Crocodile's a bit of a threat. It also outspeeds a bunch of my team, so it just outspeeds things like a normal Meloetta. So yeah, I was expecting the Crook, and then I was expecting one of the rockers. So Bronzong, Marowak, Donphan. Obviously Crook could be the rocker, but I was kind of expecting it to be more offensive. But yeah, I was expecting one of Marowak, Bronzong, and Donphan to lead and set up rocks. Marowak was low-key quite threatening in this game, and you'll see why in a minute. Although you can also kind of see on your screen that we have our first mon couldn't really touch it. So this is a Lumberry, Bulletproof, Camo. Bulletproof, I don't remember if that helped me hugely in this game. Potentially Focus Blast. But generally I don't think we had any reason to have Soundproof in this game, because there wasn't anything clicking Hyper Voice. Oh no, Bulletproof was actually important for the Bronzong, because it lets us basically ignore Jaraball, forcing him to run Psychic, which obviously we can take advantage of with things like Heatran or Deoxys potentially. So yeah, DD 3 attacks, Close Combat, Fire Punch, Ice Punch. Obviously Fire Punch isn't actually doing any more to Magina or Bronzong. It's actually doing less than Close Combat, but it doesn't give us those defense drops, which could potentially be relevant for living E-Speed from Dragonite and that kind of thing. So yeah, I kind of wanted Fire Punch there to be able to hit those things hard. Ice Punch hits the Dragonite, the Zapdos, the Crocodile. Obviously CC for the Crocodile, and then we could CC the Licky, Ice Punch hits the Donphan, CC the Cryogonal, CC the Taurus. So yeah, this thing was a bit of a threat for my opponent's roster. At +1 speed, it puts in a lot of work, and yeah, Lumberry, so that we could set up on things like the Suicune, we could set up on the Zapdos, we could set up on Alola and Marowak if it wanted to try and Will-O-Wisp us. Yeah, it gave us a few different options, even if you wanted to try and Toxic us with things like Licky, or, even if you wanted to Toxic with Zapdos, or Toxic with, potentially even Crocodile could have wanted to Toxic us, or Bronzong as well. So yeah, there were a lot of things that maybe wanted to status this mon, as their way of responding to it, if they, weren't packing the coverage moves because they wanted coverage moves for other things, or they wanted to be able to hit a few different things with their status. So I thought Lumberry was pretty solid there. with the speed being for Dragonite, Jolly D-Knight, which was a bit of a threat to my team. I wasn't sure, I thought he'd maybe think that he has 4 move slot syndrome in his match, because obviously, like, E-Speed, Earthquake, Dragon Claw can't really do that much to a Dhelmise. And then if he does run the Supersonic Sky Strike, he can't necessarily pack the EQ to get rid of Heatran. If he doesn't have the E-Speed, he can't necessarily get rid of Deoxys. So yeah, I wasn't really sure what moveset he would want to go for there. Anyway, our second one, we're finally bringing it, which is Assault Vest, Relic Song, Meloetta, so trying to go into that Pirouette form. With Close Combat, Ice Punch, Knockoff. Close Combat and Ice Punch we've already established are pretty good against my opponent's team. Knockoff actually makes this even better because it can hit the Bronzong and the Marowak for like super effective. Well, I mean, obviously Fire Punch also hits the Bronzong, but potentially he could have run Heat Proof. It would have been a very baller play to run Heat Proof against a team with a Garchomp, but it did kind of plausibly make sense in some situations to like get a surprise KO on the Heatran with an Earthquake or something like that. So yeah, I thought Knockoff, well, it also gives us a way of hitting Marowak. It also just generally is good against like potentially like if we come in early game, because I do sort of anticipate this thing being a sweeper, but because it has the Assault Vest, it can kind of tank hits from things reasonably well. Like, it tanks hits from Magearna for days before I click Relic Song, which is nice, and it tanks hits from the Zapdos really well, from the Suicune, although obviously we have to fear the Scald Burns, you know, can tank hits from the Bronzong, and, you know, those kind of things. So yeah, like, it tanks hits reasonably well, and can put in a real number on my opponent's team. Outspeeds everything, so the speed is specifically there for once I have clicked Relic Song, I then outspeed a Jolly Tauros, which is really nice, because yeah, anything that's not speed boosted in some way is not going to be able to take us down. So yeah, that's the Meloetta. We then have an Assault Vest Heatran. This is our dedicated response to Magearna. We take 2 Hidden Power Grounds really easily. We take 2 Focus Blasts. I think Focus Blast into Z Focus Blast potentially knocks us out. But we just kind of had to take that risk. Flamethrower is an easy 2-hit KO. I think it has a chance of OHKOing. No, it probably doesn't have a chance of OHKOing any set, but like does like I think like something like 90% to an offensive set, but like even to a max defensive set, it's still like 50%. Lava Plume in case we're trying to fish for a burn. Hidden Power Ice obviously there, so we're not set up for the Dragonite. And Earth Power, so we can hit the Marowak. It obviously also eases prediction with the Magearna. And it was good neutral coverage as well, just kind of generally. But yeah, I think it was mostly there for the Marowak, because I was looking a little bit Marowak weak. And obviously this thing will outspeed and be able to get off a big hit, if not knock it out at that point. Next mon up is our Primarina. This is our dedicated lead. We have Choice Specs Primarina with Scald, Energy Ball, Moonblast, Shadow Ball. This gets into my point before about him bringing one of his rockers. So if he brings Donphan, we can click Scald turn 1. If he brings Bronzong, we can click Shadow Ball and 2-hit KO him. Even if he's, I believe even a max Spadef set is 2-hit KO'd by modest specs Shadow Ball. And if he brings the Marowak, obviously we just click Scald on that thing. Even the Crocodile, if he brings a lead Crocodile, I'm just clicking Moonblast, because I don't expect him to be the Z Earthquake set, which would be how Crocodile would OHKO me. Or like a Choice Banded set. But yeah, I don't expect either of those on a lead Crook. So yeah, it was kind of like, this should have, theoretically, a good lead matchup that stops him from immediately getting up hazards. So that was pretty solid. We then had Tornadus, Expert Belt with Hurricane, Heat Wave, HP Ice. The coverage is reasonably obvious there. Hurricane for Stab, Heat Wave for the Magearna, HP Ice for the Dragonite. Obviously, it also lets us hit the Zapdos. We don't hit Zapdos hugely hard, but you know, if it's down to like 30 or 40%, we could potentially knock it out. And then Prankster Defog, just in case we do need those rocks gone. which, you know, we probably don't. Like, this is the only one we've got on the team that's weak to rocks, but we might need that extra little bit of health late game on something like Meloetta or Deoxys to be able to win the game, or even on Komodo to be able to set up and win the game. And then, yeah, enough speed for the Tauros, pretty simple stuff. Oh yeah, we got a little bit of speed on Primarina in order to speed creep things like the Donphan, the Marowak, and the Bronzong. The Bronzong would have to be putting a lot of speed investment in, but things like the Marowak or the Donphan, I could have plausibly seen my opponent thinking, well, hey, if I can reach past a min-speed Primarina, that might allow me to get rocks up or get an unexpected hit off, particularly since I know Donphan gets super effective coverage in the form of Seed Bomb. I don't know if Marowak gets anything super effective, but I mean Shadowbone would do a hell of a lot, given I don't have physical defense investment. So yeah, and then last but not least, we have Deoxys S coming back once again with the ICMZ, Ice Beam, Psychic, HP Fire, Stealth Rock. Once again, Ice Beam, Ice and Fire coverage is really good against my opponent's team. Psychic is good neutral stab on pretty much everything else. Rocks, because we could really use them against things like Dragonite and Zapdos in particular. The aim of this set is that it can check any variant of Dragonite. It checks a +1 Dragonite because I still with the speed investment I have, I outspeed +1 Jolly Dragonite. We tank a +1 E-speed with our investment, and ICMZ, Ice Beam, KOs through multiscale. So that was very, very important. The other thing was that if he wasn't set up, then we could just click Psychic to break the multiscale, and then click Ice Beam to KO afterwards. And yeah, hopefully we could get up rocks to avoid even having to deal with the multiscale, and then we could potentially use the ICMD to do things like get rid of Crocodile, get rid of even like quite a bulky Zapdos, you know, AV Donphan, something like that. So yeah, let's get into the battle. So, you can see, my opponent brings the Meowth, the Zapdos, the Dragonite, the Suicune, the Crocodile, and the Donphan. So we predicted the team reasonably well. I'm expecting the Donphan to lead out, because it also just has a really good matchup against my team. Like, Play Rough for the Komodo, Earthquake hits everything else except for the Torn. I'm assuming he'll have something for the Torn. Oh, he'll have Ice Shard, will be the thing. Almost certainly to hit my potential Garchomp, to hit a setup Komodo. So, yeah, I just want to pressure that thing straight off the bat, so we are just going to lead straight off with our Primarina. It also just has a pretty good offensive matchup against my opponent's team, so we're just going to click Scald, turn 1, knock him down to his Sturdy as we do get the burn, and I'm thinking, oh my god, this is amazing, he's going to get rocks and then die immediately. And then he clicks Toxic, I'm like, oh, this is even better, because he's, like, I don't really care that much about having Toxic on Primarina, and now he's gonna not even have rocks from this Donphan. Like, you know, I think you take that trade 100% of the time, right? Like, you know, your opponent losing their lead, and you get Toxic on your lead. I think anyone would take that trade. But he does have the leftovers, and I just didn't even think about that, because obviously leftovers are amazing on that thing, because you guaranteed live even a Scald. So, like, yeah, I've never thought about that before in Donphan. I don't know why. I think I just haven't used it very much, so, like, I'm not sure I've ever used it at all. Potentially, like, in UU or RU or whatever tier it resides in on Smogon singles, but I've definitely never drafted it so far, so, yeah. Caught me a little bit off guard there. I mean, obviously, I wasn't guaranteed to get that burn. Although, as you can see, this is a game of... this game has a lot of secondary effects, shenanigans going on. But yeah, he decides to switch out into his Suicune. This is an interesting play here because, like, I'm not sure that if he knows that I'm Specs at this point, because I doubt that Donphan, since we know it's not Sulfest and Cyclic Toxic, that yeah, any variant of Donphan was probably going to be taken down to Sturdy there. Maybe, I'm not sure. I didn't actually like check those calcs. But yeah, we're able to do 26% and get a burn on the Suicune. That's really nice. Although obviously it could be Crocune, in which case, you know, really not that big of a deal. But we're able to get some decent chip damage off on this thing, and I've realized I don't have a particularly good response to this, aside from this Primarina being locked into Energy Ball, which it's not. So I do just decide to go straight into Komodo. I figure this is a pretty good opportunity to set up if he is a Crocune. If he has Raw, I want to know straight away. And if he is a Crocune, he can't really do anything to us because we've got the Lumberry. And if he's got a more offensive moveset, then I want to know that now and, you know, pressure him into, you know, sort of being at a low amount of health so that we can kill this thing off with something that outspeeds it later. So yeah, he clicks the Calm Mind as I just go straight for Dragon Dance. I can live any hit this thing wants to throw off at me, as he does elect to throw off an Ice Beam, gets the freeze, and Lumberry comes in clutch there. You know, obviously not all we had that there for, but, you know, we did have it there because he does have a lot of mons that click moves with secondary effects, so, the fact that we were able to, yeah, like, get out of that sticky situation, we're now able to click Close Combat on this thing, do 51%, that's really good. If he hadn't have been physically bulky set, I think we potentially had a chance to knock that out, but obviously, like, your Calm Mind, you're going to have bulk investment for that purpose. But yeah, we're able to take that thing down to around 17%. We now know he pretty much doesn't have rest unless he's like rest but no sleep talk. But yeah, that's pretty good. We're able to now bring out Primarina again. I probably should have just bought out Deoxys. I didn't do any calcs at the time. I don't know why. I didn't do any calcs at the time. We could have probably just brought out Deoxys and we would have killed with Psychic. Probably. But yeah, I like didn't do any calcs. I just thought, oh no, just go straight Primarina. You know, that'll be fine, as he clicks the Protect, showing off his fourth move. Well, I mean, I'm not sure if he's actually shown Water Stab yet, but we know he has Water Stab. As, yeah, I'm just going to click the Energy Ball again, as, yeah, that was clever scouting on him, because now I can safely go into Zapdos, because there's no chance of it taking a Specs Ice Beam, because I'm locked in. As, yeah, I'm forced to switch. I'm going to go out into Meloetta here, because Meloetta tanks hit from this thing all of the time. He clicks Baton Pass. Clever play there to stop. Obviously, U-Turn is, you know, better because it can get damage on things, but given my main response to Volt Switch would be Garchomp potentially with Rocky Helmet, I see why he went for Baton Pass over U-Turn to avoid taking that residual damage. Goes out into the beginner, and I'm just not going to think about this play. I'm just going to go straight into my Heatran because it responds to this thing at this point in the game, as he actually clicks the Shift Gear straight away. So that's actually I mean, yeah, like, on the one hand, yeah, no, that just works out really well for me, because, yeah, he hasn't gone for Calm Mind, which means I'm no chance of, like, being 2-hit KO'd by any of these attacks. So, yeah. Clicks the Hidden Battleground, as we're able to get off a really good chunk of damage with Flamethrower, as I'm just going to click Earth Power because it would kill the Magearna at that point and also hit the Suicune. This Suicune is super bulky though, so we don't actually take it out. Obviously, as you've seen, we don't have a huge amount of investment, so I'm just going to go straight back out into Primarina, as he does reveal his last move to be the Scald. I didn't want to take any damage, unnecessary damage on Heatran, because obviously it is my response to the Magearna. As he just clicks Protect here, once again, I'm locking myself into Scald at this point because it's obviously going to kill at this range because he's stuck at 5%. We are losing a lot of health on our Primarina, but I'm not necessarily thinking I need Primarina at this point. I sort of was like, oh yeah, this will be fine. We have sort of responses to his other threats. But as you can see, we're now down at 6%, and he brings out the Crocodile, and I don't see Intimidate, and this gives me cause for alarm. I did mention offensive Crook in the team builder. I didn't think about it in the game up until this point, and this is a huge problem. If this is a Choice Scarf Crocodile with knockoff, we potentially just lose the game right here, because I am forced to sack, because I don't have anything that's taking 2 Scarf knockoffs. As he clicks knockoff, kills me, gets the Moxie boost, and now I'm thinking, crap, I have lost this game, and I look at the calcs, and the only thing I have that lives a hit from this thing is Heatran. So I have to go Heatran, I have to click Lava Plume, I have to hope I get a burn, and then I can live a hit with Tornadus and kill him off with Tornadus. That is my play at this point, that is my only play, assuming he is Scarf. So I go out into Heatran, and he actually clicks the Earthquake, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, now I feel like an idiot, because I've now just sacked my Heatran, but, like, that was the only way of me to just not auto-lose, at that point, and maintain my win cons in the forms of, like, Deoxys, Meloetta, and Tornadus. So, now that I've gotten rid of that, I can go out into Deoxys. I really should have just clicked regular Ice Beam here, even though it doesn't kill the Crocodile, because I should have known that he was going to just sack Donphan right here. knowing that Crook is incredibly useful for revenge killing what he presumably thinks is a specially offensive psychic type Meloetta, not a Relic Song physical attacking fighting type Meloetta. And so yeah, I really should have kept my ICMZ intact, but instead I do click it right here. We waste our Z move. We obviously kill like 10,000 Don fans. But yeah, that's a bit of a problem. And he brings out the Dragonite, and this is where I brain fade massively and should have lost the game. Just like right here, the game should have been over. Is that instead of clicking Psychic, Psychic guarantees that I can 2-hit KO this Dragonite. He can't kill me with any one attack, unless he's like Choice Banded Dragon Claw maybe, or Choice Banded Outrage for example, but basically we can avoid this thing from sweeping us, and we then kill it off with, you know, Tornadus's HP Ice. Instead I click Ice Beam, and I just was not thinking, and I'd forgotten that Dragonite, you know, quite often runs Weakness Policy, and so yeah, if he clicked Dragon Dance there, which I assume he did, because he's a Weakness Policy Dragonite, and there's no reason to run that if you're not just going to click Dragon Dance and then try and sweep with +3 Extreme Speed, the game was over, and there was nothing I could have done. As you can see, we actually do get the freeze, and that is huge. That's like, I'm not going to lie, that's huge. That was game over for Dragonite right there. Admittedly, due to a mistake on my part, but, you know, like, a mistake on my part is a mistake on my part, nothing to do with my opponent, so we get rewarded for making a huge error at that point. So, you know, taking advantage of that freeze, I'm just going to click Ice Beam again, because he doesn't have switch-ins to this, because Magina is so worn down that we're actually going to be able to kill with a HP Fire after that Ice Beam. We actually get another freeze. I don't see how this mattered in any way, to be honest, because this Magina did not outspeed us. We killed it with HP Fire. I wasn't too fussed about this. Everything on my team kills this Magina at this point. Like, outspeeds and kills it. Nothing is locked into anything, so yeah, this Magina wasn't doing anything for the rest of the game, so I wasn't too fussed about that. Obviously, ridiculous to get 2 freezes in 2 turns. We've already had 3 freezes in this game, and note I said already, because yes, there's another one coming. So it goes out to the Crocodile, and this is where I decide to go out into Taunt, because I know that Taunt can live a hit, and then outspeed, and it can do decent damage with HP Ice, put it in range of an Ice Beam from my Deoxys. So we actually Hidden Power Ice on the Taunt, on the incoming Zapdos, and we can see this is a very, very bulky Zapdos. As he goes for Agility, and this is where I'm like, okay, this is a late game kind of win-con Zapdos with Agility and Roost, and I'm forced to just keep clicking HP Ice because I just need to have a little bit of damage off on this thing. And yeah, so bit unfortunate there where like he does have this set that I'm now sort of like, I'm not sure if I can break through this thing. But I do go out into Deoxys, and now I do get to click Ice Beam here. Because as he goes for the discharge, doesn't quite 2-hit KO us, so I'm just going to keep clicking Ice Beam, because that'll take this thing down reasonably low, as he takes us down to 11, and, you know, oh no, I actually clicked Psychic there in case he clicked a Roost, given that Ice Beam wasn't going to kill regardless, and then, yeah, he does kill us off with the 3rd discharge, so that's fine. We've got this thing down to 38%, now at 44, so my basic play here is to just spam Ice Punch with Meloetta, because it will 2-hit KO. Oh, sorry, I first have to Relic Song. And I have to not get parried at any point with Discharge. If I get parried at any point with Discharge, the game is over, because Crocodile can outspeed me. Yeah, can get off a lot of damage on me. Probably knocking me out. And also the Zapdos probably beats me at the point at which I'm parried. Just like 1v1. But yeah, so we click the Relic Song, we get a crit there, which, given he's just clicking Roost, is not that big of a deal. I guess he has a little bit less health than he otherwise would have, but yeah, he clicks Roost as we go for an Ice Punch, and this is where I'm just going to kind of be spamming Ice Punch, because I can't afford to click close combat, because then I get SPDEF drops and defense drops, and that loses me the game. Because I am sort of thinking, well, even if I do get parried at this point, as long as we haven't clicked close combat already, we can potentially tank an Earthquake from the Crocodile depending on his set, I believe. And so we could potentially tank like another discharge into an Earthquake. I'm not 100% sure on those calcs, but yeah, so I was just like, well, as long as we don't click Ice Punch, then we're not in the worst position. We actually click Knockoff there because it gets rid of the lefties, which is really nice. So now this thing's not passively recovering as much, so he is going to be forced into clicking Roost a lot more often. So you can see he's at 100 here, and I'm going to click Ice Punch, and we get a freeze. Obviously this is not as unlikely as the other freezes, because it's a Meloetta, it has Serene Grace, so it's a 20% chance. It's really unfortunate for my opponent again though, because yeah, now we're able to click Ice Punch, and we're going to be able to 2-hit KO this Zapdos, and he's not able to have his extra chances to discharge on us. And yeah, like presumably without that freeze, he would have had at least another few chances to discharge on us. We possibly would have been forced into clicking close combat and risking the paras on this, and yeah, like he certainly would have had, I reckon, probably another 2 or 3 chances to discharge. I do think we beat that thing 1v1, because close combat does do a lot of damage if I get the prediction on the Roost right, and between my moves, I can stall him out of Roosts, even through pressure. But yeah, that freeze obviously speeds things up considerably and makes it entirely risk-free. So at this point, the only thing that can stop me from winning the game is if he is Choppleberry Crocodile, but I'm just going to click Close Combat, which does a lot to the Dragonite, and I'm thinking, cool, this is fine, we should tank a neutral E-Speed even at -1, and we're able to get rid of Dragonite with the Ice Punch, and then we're able to click Close Combat and finish off this game by getting rid of the Crocodile. So, look, GG to Zamcro, really unfortunate kind of battle. It didn't really show off, I think, either of our teams particularly well. Yeah, just, like, I mean, when you get through, like, I've tried to, like, put a spin on what the logic of my plays were at each point, but, like, when you get 3 freezes, it's just kind of like, okay, I definitely should have lost this game. I shouldn't have lost it to the D-Knight, in that I made a mistake and then was rescued by hacks. So, like, I should have in the moment, but not necessarily based on my prep. And then I probably should have lost to that Zapdos, where, like, there was definitely going to be some hacks at some point, either on his side getting paras on me or on my side getting freezes on him, and I just got it first, and the fact that it came on top of extra hacks that I'd already gotten was kind of rubbing salt into the wound. So yeah, a bit unfortunate, but we do pick up a 1-0 victory, moves us back to 3-3. There are 4 weeks left in the season, we can still push for playoffs now, so I'm happy to get the win, as much as it was in like slightly bizarre and slightly dire circumstances, but yeah. So good luck to Zamcro for the rest of the season. Look, I fully expect to see the Blackmount Raikougar in playoffs. But until then, and until next week, peace.